Hey, how you doing? I'm back with the new Ministry of Health, and I'm here with Dr. Henri Lamothe. I have one question as a patient I need to ask you. And the question I need to ask you is, why do I have to go into the hospital or the doctors and fill these forms out every single time? And it's called HIPAA, but I'm going to ask, can you make me hip to HIPAA? And what am I signing? And if I don't sign it, why won't they treat me? Talk to me about that. Talk to us about what's going on with this HIPAA thing that's supposed to be helping us.
There are many forms that you end up signing prior to being seen by someone. Some of it has to do with your medical history. Some of it has to do with your past history. And unfortunately, there's a redundancy in the process. What it means that you do it every time. They could have pulled it up, or you could have given it to them once, and it would have sufficed. But nevertheless, the form that you speak of is a form called HIPAA.
Mm-hmm.
The HIPAA form is a form that is theoretically supposed to protect you in terms of who has access to your information. And it's the government who created that process.
Right.
Except, unfortunately, what you don't realize is that that HIPAA form information is accessible to insurance companies.
Right.
It's not 100% protection.
Right.
It's not 100% security. It is definitely a form that gives you the false sense that everything is okay, but do you ever really truly read it? If you ever really truly read it, you've got an area that makes you sign a form that may eventually threaten whether or not there's payment possibility down the road, but nevertheless to protect your information from others where others already have access to that information.
Dr. Henri, I know you're a doctor and you got to have us sign these forms, but HIPAA is a pimp game. HIPAA is a pimp game because they're telling you every gatekeeper, every mother, every mom, every parent, every patient thinks I'm signing a privacy thing to guarantee my privacy. The Information Portability Act, I think something like that. And when you look at this, it's a deregulatory form, organization. It's not an organization. HIPAA doesn't give you rights. You already have constitutional rights. This is why healthcare is falling apart in a lot of ways. Because HIPAA, you think that you're getting privacy, but if you read HIPAA, they're saying what we're going to do is we're going to determine what you just said, who we can give your records to, who we can sell your records to. And so when I get passionate about it, Dr. Henri, is because I kept signing this thinking that I was getting protection, having no idea. And since I've had this, I get more calls from people on my phone who know my condition. And at first I couldn't understand it, but now I understand this system doesn't work in the form of saying they're protecting us. And in actuality, they're saying, we're going to take your information and sell it or give it to whoever has the ability to use it. And I think it's wrong. And so even when you say that, I didn't even know doctors knew that this is what happens with HIPAA. Am I talking too much?
No,
Okay.
I think everyone should read the HIPAA form prior to signing them. They should understand exactly what you talked about, because it is kind of smoke and mirror. Mm-hmm. You're going to protect you, but the insurance companies don't have access to it.
Did y'all hear that? He said smoke. The Dr. Henri said smoke and mirror. I'm sorry, keep going. Keep going. I get an attitude, but just keep going.
Well, most people should get an attitude.
Okay, thank you for understanding, because I was going to feel bad tonight. Go
no,
ahead.
Don't feel bad.
Okay.
It is part of informing the public. We need to be informative.
Okay.
That's part of the new Ministry of Health's credo, to tell the truth.
Okay.
And the truth is what it is that is on that piece of paper that you're signing, that 99.9% of it don't have time to read through and understand exactly what we're signing.
I had a lawyer tell me, he's a lawyer, And when this was explained to him what HIPAA was about, he was in shock. And he said, Monday morning, I'm going to my doctor to ask, what have I been signing? And what would be my penalty if I didn't sign it? And let me ask you a question. If I choose not to sign it, are you going to treat me?
Of course I'll treat you.
Because you have to say that?
Because you're talking from the perspective of an emergency room physician.
Okay. But now if I go to my regular primary.
That's their process.
Smoke and mirrors. Listen, I appreciate you being honest with me about it. And forgive some of my activity and my over-the-top activity, because this is this Ministry of Health and being connected with you and the people that put it together has revolutionized me. And I now understand, and I'll just say this, as a gatekeeper, as a mom, the whole purpose of a new Ministry of Health is to equip people with power so they're not stressed. And again, that they know what they're dealing with. And so I want to thank you for talking about that. And I want you all to understand, this is about empowering you with the truth. This is about, as the patient, as the caregiver, as the mom, as the father, as the mom who has to take care of your elderly parents, all these different things. This is to put control back in your hand so that you don't try to rack your mind. And the system that you've created, phenomenal, the first of its kind, the first ever. A patient advocacy. I guess you knew this, but did you understand it would be as powerful as it is?
It is as powerful as it will be universal.
There you go. The game has changed. And in the healthcare business, there's a movement. There's a movement of the new Ministry of Health. And anybody who wants to be a part of this, just send your information in. They'll give you the information so that you'll know, and you can look it on the crawl or wherever it is when they put this show out. But I want you all to be equipped, because no one should ever in America go through what we're going through in this medical system and not be informed. I hope that you were informed. I hope that you were blessed by my passion and by the compassion of this man right here. Again, I appreciate all your studies. I appreciate all your research.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm out, y'all. Now we're going to get to the good part. My name is Deron Clown, and I am a part of the new Ministry of Health, where God is truth, and what we champion is truth. And we bring things to the table that just don't get discussed. They don't get talked about. Now, we talk about them at coolers, or we talk about them with little tweets here and there, but no one ever really sits down and talks to the people who are responsible for the healthcare of the world. In Indian tribes, in Hispanic tribes, in Mexican tribes, you name it, Pakistani tribes, it is the mom. It is the gatekeeper. It's the caregivers. And so, you know, we've heard the term about tiger moms and that kind of stuff, and sometimes the media sensationalizes it. But if we stop and really talk to those who are responsible for what's going on, we can discover some truths. And the new Ministry of Health is about unearthing a truth that is not discussed, so that you can have the power to take control of your health or your child. And so without further ado, I'm getting ready to introduce you all to someone that I had the privilege of meeting. And I'm honored. And I don't say this because it's a bunch of fluff, and I'm not being a fluffer. I say this because, why? I am here to understand and help you to understand what we have overlooked, and that is the caregiver, the gatekeeper. And with that, I would like to introduce you all to Jamie. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, Deron.
I'm glad to have you here. Jamie, and your last name is
Lavasser.
Lavasser, yes. And I want to thank you for coming here to the show, because this is going to be our first time really sitting in a studio, putting this out there for the world to see. The gatekeeper. You've had your issues with the medical system. You have been a part of the medical system.
Yes.
I want to hear about your daughter, and I want to hear about what is a gatekeeper and and I'm going to take some notes, because my wife is a gatekeeper and a caregiver as well. And so when I take my notes, I'm also taking notes so I can respond properly even to her as she helps me. And so the question I need to know, you were a part of the medical system and you had to be a gatekeeper as a mom. What was your experience, and why would you think I had to be a gatekeeper?
Well, I started off, I'm a nurse by practice, but I'm also a mom, first and foremost.
Okay.
And we've been talking about gatekeeper, and it seemed like the perfect word to kind of categorize us as women of the family. So as the gatekeeper, I'm the person that, is in charge of the health care, nutrition of everyone in my family, not only my children, but my husband, also, sometimes my grandmother. So everything kind of goes through me.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
I'm going to interrupt you. What do you mean in charge? The gatekeeper is the one that's in charge of the healthcare.
So we're the ones that are making the doctor's appointments, going to the doctor, researching. That's a huge part of what I do as a mom, is research, the different ailments of my children, consult with doctors, whether they be a regular MD or a naturopath, trying to find nutritional, ways to heal also, outside of conventional medicine.
Give me the life of let's just pretend you had 3 children.
I have 2.
Okay, let's pretend you
plus
had 2
my
children.
husband, so.
Okay, let's pretend you got 3 children.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
I do.
I'm considered a child too in my own house. And so here's the question I need to ask you. What is the process of a gatekeeper? Do you have to keep all the information? What do you mean?
So, yeah, you do have to keep all of the information and kind of keep track of it. You're the ones that usually making the meals. You're, again, dealing with the doctors, prescriptions, making the nutritional meals, making sure everybody's taking their medicine, making sure everybody's taking their supplements, making sure that they're getting enough rest, that they're showering, all kinds of different hygiene type, things, whether it's exercise, nutrition, and that kind of thing.
The question I'm writing down, and I want to know, what caused you to have to take a stand for your family? I'm a firm believer in a new ministry of health. Everybody has a moment that they go through, and they have a crisis of belief where they have to make a decision. In Chinese, crisis is called decision time. The character actually means it's decision time. What decision time came your way?
So this is what happened in our family. My daughter became ill at a young age, and we weren't sure what was happening with her. It was just this, nagging stomach pain. And
young age, how old?
I would say it started around 8 years old.
Okay.
And we just couldn't figure it out. We changed her diet. We did several different things, and it was back and forth to the pediatrician, back and forth, and, testing, and there was nothing wrong. Everything came up negative. And to make a really long story short, after the different specialists and no answers. The problem is their answer to everything for me was to give her more medication. And anytime that I questioned, what's causing it, and they could not answer. It was, kind of benign answers like it's stress, or, stomach issues are really hard to diagnose, and that type of thing. So I took it a step further, and I started really researching, the causes of it. And there was an array of them. And so we went to a naturopath after I felt like we hit a wall. I wasn't getting any more answers, and I wasn't willing.
Can you explain? I want to. You
Sure.
You found a naturopath. We'll come to that. What do you mean we hit a wall? What do you mean?
Well, and this is a story that I've talked to you about before, is we went to the emergency room at a children's medical center at the urgency of our pediatrician, and we were basically told that her pain was in her head, that she needed to see a psychiatrist, and that I needed, as the mother, to stop encouraging the pain. And I just didn't find that to be a suitable answer for the problem. We were there looking for help, and I felt like we walked out of there paying a $750 copay and getting no answers besides see a psychiatrist. I knew that this was not in her head because I was the one that was up in the middle of the night with her in pain.
Wow.
So that's when I decided to take a different avenue, even though I was a nurse and I was, trained
And when you
in
say in the
medicine.
middle of the night in pain, I just want to hear,
Shoot.
I can't make any assumptions. What does that mean to be up in the middle of the night as a gatekeeper and a caregiver while she's in pain as a parent? What does that mean to you?
It's hard, I was working full time, and this little girl would come into my room and she would be crying and she was in pain, and I'd be in the bathroom with her, not knowing how to help her. And you're up all night and she's crying, and, I'm there trying to console her. So I knew the pain was real. This was not in her head, but that was the answer that I was getting, and I wasn't satisfied with it.
I take it when they told you it's in her head, and because you're a nurse and you're a part of the system, how do you deal with that stress? How do you deal with that stress when I remember, let me just say what I do remember. Speaking to your husband, Pete, right? Mm-hmm. And he was saying she was in the back. And one day I want to really dramatize this story, because when I first met you, I said that you are the first tiger mom that I have met in person. And I don't mean demonize that and glorify, but someone who was going to take a stand. And I remember interviewing your husband, and it was the most powerful interviews I ever had with a man on the new Ministry of Health, because he said he remembered her being in the back seat and
Yeah.
she was crying. And he said, I wanted to say you can overcome this. But he knew. And one of the things you said to her, am I correct that you
Yeah.
turned, what'd you say to her?
So I turned into the back of the car, and I told her, I said, Julia, I believe you. I'm your mother. And if I don't believe you, who's going to? And I'm not going to give up until I help you, until I find help for you. So just because we didn't find help today, I'm not going to give up. And I haven't.
I'm a little emotional because my wife, when the doctor looked at me and said what I was going through in my head was psychosomatic. Mm-hmm. And my wife had to look at him and be my advocate and say, no.
Right, because the one thing, and this is something that I tell other mothers, is we have that innate sense, that gut instinct, mother's instinct, whatever you want to call it. And, we're kind of trained in society to kind of suppress that, and we shouldn't, because if you follow your gut, a lot of times it will lead you to the true answers.
Right. And I just did a show with Dr. Henri Lamothe. And now I introduced it, but I know he knew more than what I knew. But that your brain and your gut are made out of the same tissues.
Right.
And that your gut, when they say go with your gut, you can feel with your gut. What did your gut tell you?
That there was something wrong with her that I needed to find the root cause to. And by medicating it and taking those symptoms away from her wasn't going to help her. Bringing her to the psychiatrist wasn't going to help her. It wasn't in her mind. I don't care what level education you have. You are the expert of your children,
This started at 8. By the time did you find a solution?
I have, it's a lifestyle change.
Okay.
But, we've been treating her naturally through nutrition.
Okay.
She's on a very strict, clean diet and supplements. Mm-hmm. We've done acupuncture. We've done massage. and some other homeopathic.
How's she doing
modalities.
today?
She's great. She's in college.
So you talking from 8 to now? She's in college. Come on, talk to me.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
she's 17. She's in college. She goes to the movies with her friends. And this was a child that was in bed for 9 months. That went from her bed to the bathroom for nine months. And I did take her out of school. I felt that though her body needed rest, and I needed to stop torturing her and stressing her body. She needed rest. And
But they try to persecute you for doing that?
I did have to pull her out of school because I was told that I could be charged with neglect and that DCF could get involved. That's why I'm only talking about it now, because she's in college. I didn't talk about it publicly before
It's not
then.
funny. Yeah, I get it. It's not funny.
But yeah,
Because you're saying Child Protective Services could have came and said that you are not fit to be a mother.
yeah. The school told me that they were going to send the state police to our house to drag her out of her bed to go to school because she was truant.
I got it. Listen, I see you. Listen to me. This is how this system, if you get to know Jamie and Pete, they're beautiful, caring parents. And this is how a system, a healthcare system that does not have all the protocols in order will demonize someone beautiful like you who are trying to protect your child. And because you took that stand, I've seen and I told you when I met you, I'm so glad I met you, because they make you all think you're crazy because you're saying, listen, I want to come off synthetic. Not that you don't need synthetic,
Right.
but at the same time, you also need natural medicine. I thank you, one, for sharing your story, and I'm sure we're going to get to share more. Right now, it's just the introduction.
Yeah.
Hey, you all, I want you all to understand, everybody's going to have a moment of crisis and decision, especially as a mother, especially as a parent, because I just don't want to put it on mothers, but as a parent. But I want to thank you for bringing us into the world of what it means to be a gatekeeper and what it means. I needed someone to speak on my behalf. Even to this day, I still say, tell me what to do. And you know what I've come to the conclusion? You all are smarter than us. And the best thing to do is just to hear what you have to say and process it, because you're bringing it from a whole nother space. And when you speak, things happen. And I'll just say this to the husband, don't disagree with her anymore, because she was taking point. I love you all. This is the new Ministry of Health, and I know I'm trying to bring light to a situation, but I thank you for talking about the gatekeeper. And as a nurse, how do you feel now?
I feel proud to be able to show other parents that there's another way.
Right.
You know, so I think by speaking out, telling these stories, it'll
You're a
help other
beacon of
parents.
light, aren't you?
I sure hope so.
You sure hope so. And what is a beacon of light? Is it called Beacon? What is it that you work with?
Oh, Beacon Holistic Products.
Beacon Holistic Products.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm plugging that, but Beacon Holistic Products. I'm glad that you're a beacon of light, because what we hope to do is bring light to you all. Hey, we're going to take a break. I thank you all for tuning in to the new Ministry of Health. If you would like to get information, check on our scroll or whatever information we put out with this show, and you too can begin to take back the control of your health by being able to get your records, your stuff on your phone, on your tablet, so that you can have a better way to keep your life in order. Love you, and I beat you to it. And once I know I shook your hand again, but thank you, Tiger Mom.